everyone, Paul from International Scale Modeler. Welcome to part 2 of our Tarangus JA37 SAAB Viggen build. You saw where we were at last time. We got all the cockpit tub assembled, all the aftermarket PE was put in after removing the original kit detail. We got the ejector seat all painted up, all the PE added to that, as well as the instrument panels, and we got it in situ in the cockpit tub and glued in place. Now a couple of things before we get started. Number one, I've had a couple more bits added to the aftermarket that I was waiting on. Number one, as the camera whites out, we've got the resin nose and main wheels to replace the kit ones. Very nicely cast resin landing gear wheels, as well as a nice bit of PE, which should up the detail a little bit. If we bring it on the closer camera, you can see the PE. So very nice PE again. Same quality as the PE, and the wheels just need a little bit of cleanup, and they're going to look absolutely superb. We also got, and this is absolutely brilliant, we got the boarding ladder for the Viggen. Now this is PE, it's pre-painted, so there's no painting required, just assemble it. You can weather it with a few washes, whatever you want to do, and I think that looks absolutely superb. That's going to look very vibrant next to the splinter cam on the aircraft, and again a nice bit of PE, which were added to the huge amount we've already got, which runs into a few pounds worth, to say the least. Now, other thing as well, I've got a huge thank you to say to Ebby. I'm not going to give his full name because I know he doesn't like his full name being shared. Ebby's a regular Hangout member, chat to him all the time. He's a very, very knowledgeable guy. He's a very talented modeler, and he's always there to answer any questions I've got, and as anyone will know, I have a lot of questions, and he's there massively helping with anything the guys need, and he went out of his way for me. He has actually got first person pictures of a Viggen that I think is fairly local to him, so he said to me, I can get some pictures of it if you'd like, would you like me to get some? And I was like, yes, thank you very much. And he sent me dozens and dozens of pictures of every aspect of the Viggen, nearly every part of it, and they are just superb. A huge thank you to you, Ebby. I know I thanked you already, but I'm going to do it on camera as well. Big thanks for doing that, because those pictures are stunning and they're going to be a huge help, because as usual I know squat about this aircraft, absolutely nothing other than it flies and it's Swedish. I know nothing else at all, because as I always say, I'm not an expert. I just like modelling, so if I like a subject I'll do it, and half the time if you watch my reviews I haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, but I'm a modeler, so I can talk about the model itself. But like I say, huge thank you to Ebby. Absolutely superb, buddy. They're going to come in very, very handy. Other thing quickly as well before we get into the build. Before I started this build, I did plan to do a piece of armour, like a step-by-step build I did with the 109. That's gone by the wayside a little bit, because obviously with myself and Lee stocking the Tarangus kits, it makes sense, I've explained this before, for me to build one so you can see what they're like, and I like the aircraft, so it was an interesting subject to me. So what I've done now, I've picked a kind of a medium. So what I'm going to hopefully do next to this, as long as I can find the time to do it, is I've got this. This is the brand new Takom Kraz, which, as you agree, is an absolutely awesome looking thing. It's huge. It's going to be probably, the chassis is about 12 inches long, so it's going to be a big, big vehicle, ginormous wheels on it, excellent camo, and just an excellent subject. So what I plan to do is use this as a subject for a step-by-step build on armour. It's not technically armour, but it is, and I can show the same techniques. We can go through painting, camo work, chipping, filters, oiled off it. We can cover all the basic techniques. We can go through there, including a few others that we can't do on armour, like weathering tyres. We can add some cargo to it. I'm half considering scratch building the canopy for the rear with the framework, but I'm not sure yet. I might just fill it full of stuff. I'll have a think. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping to get it next week. It's Thursday today. Hoping to get this next week, and we'll get a part of this out. Again, it won't be necessarily focusing on the build. It'd be like the 109, where we're focusing on the actual techniques. So you're not going to see me build every aspect of it. You'll see me doing the techniques. So we'll cover part one. Will be like, understanding the instructions, basic assembly, gluing, sanding, etc. And then we'll move on to priming, painting, camo work, and we'll move all the way through the techniques. Mike's already done this coing on a large scale. He did which was absolutely superb. But I wanted to do one for ISM. I said a while back I wanted to do it, and this is what I'm going to use. So I've literally got this yesterday. I've had a look through it and it looks absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to review this when I finish this video today. Hopefully that video will be up fairly soon, and then we'll crack on and we'll get in. So you're going to get 2 build videos off me now. Hopefully one every couple of weeks, maybe sooner. And we'll crack on and get both of those done. So there we go. Sorry about all the waffle, but I felt it important to get it out of the way. Now, what have we done? I'll leave that there for now. And we'll crack on. So what I've done off camera, obviously I've got to plan ahead with these because you don't want to sit here watching me glue the fuselage halves together. And as you can see, we come up with this monstrosity. So what I've done off camera, obviously we had this part assembled and glued in place. The intakes, I can't remember if I did those on camera. I don't think it did, but they've been glued in position. There's like 5 parts. I'll show you the instructions in a minute. And we've attached the fuselage halves together, glued them together, front blanking plate on, and as you can see we come up with this weird biplane type tusked raider type plane thing, but that was literally to clamp it last night, so I'm going to unclamp it now. It's the first time it's been unclamped. You wonder what the toothpick support for, that's to keep the elastic band out of the glue. Old trick, very simple. So let's move that out of the way. So the only criticism of this kit is the seam line right down the edge is very, very weird. Quite a weird assembly, but again it's not on the spine, which would be really prominent, but it is on the side. So as you can see, we go to the closer cam, we've got a bit of a seam there. We've got the sprue gates there that need attention. We need a little bit of filler there and there. I think that's on both sides. Yeah, so just a little bit of attention there and there, all the way along the front. The front is very, very tight. Really nicely done, as to is the side. So it's literally going to be a case of sanding away any raised detail, which we do have a little bit of, filling it, which I'm going to use the plastic, the sprue TET mixture I talked about in another video last time, and we'll give that a whirl and I'll show how I use it. Sand it all, polish it all, rescribe, and just rescribing is not going to be too bad. There's not a huge amount to do. There's a bit of weird detail there. Why that stops there I don't know, but it does. But it shouldn't be too technical. And then we've got the rear part of the aircraft to add as well, which I'll very quickly go through now. So we were literally up to, oh sorry, I got the front landing bay done as well. Get that out because it lights the camera. So as you can see, the front landing bay's been done. We had to remove a little bit of detail, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 P parts in there. So there's one at the front, top and bottom at the side of each side, and one at the back as well. So it's just a small amount of detail I needed to remove in to pop those in, and that was it. Job done. That was glued in place last night and left to set. So there we go. So that's where we're up to there. Now my camera's going to white out. So this is exactly where we were up to last time. It was this step, which was the upper fuselage, getting the cockpit in. I assembled this. I'm pretty sure I did it off camera. I forget now. My memory's everywhere at the minute. This was assembled, sanded, a little bit of filler inside, sanded smooth on the intakes, and this is where I was at last night. So I've literally assembled the front landing gear bay with the PE, we glued it in position. I've then put the blanking plates at the front, we've put the intakes in, drilled the 4 holes in the bottom, which I forgot to mention, which are just there. Now if you're ever unsure of the size of hole that you need to do, rather than boring a huge hole straight through, just put a small one through. As long as you can see where the hole is, you can enlarge it when you flip it around then. Rather than putting a huge hole in and realising it's for a pylon or something and then they don't fit. They're too big and we're having the glue go everywhere. So just put a small hole in and then you can enlarge it later if you need to. So they were the holes we drilled there, 4 of them. I used a 0.5mm drill bit, and this is the next step we need to do. So assemble all the exhaust section with the reverse thrusters, pick which position we want, which I use my reference pictures Abby very kindly sent me. We can then assemble the rear part of the fuselage with the exhaust assembly in, and then we can attach it together and get the main fuselage together and the wings together, and away we go. So that's it. So as you can see, it is going to progress quite quickly. Obviously we've got the PE instructions to abide by as well, which were absolutely confusing the life out of me last night. But as long as you follow them step by step, and the very next step is on these rear sections here and this. So I know we've got nothing else to add to this just yet. So what we can do for now is we'll very quickly pop that out of the way, and we will attend to one of these seam lines. I think we'll go for that one. that one there. Now, normal path of the course would be a large grey sander, obviously it's a UMP sander, over the sides, but I want to be careful not to lose any detail higher up. So what we'll do is we'll pop a little bit of masking tape past the point where we want to sand, which will hopefully enable us to not destroy any area further up. So literally 4 or 5 mil gap in the middle, 2-3 mil either side of where you're going to sand, and basically when you're hitting this down with the sander, you're not losing the detail above or below it. That's quite important. Don't press too hard. Work your way along the fuselage. So like I say, we've got a little bit of filling to do just along that seam. I'm not sure how much, we'll find out in a minute. I know the side's a little bit more stepped than this side just because of the way I've assembled it. And what we'll do, sorry I've got the sniffles today. I don't know why, but every time I step in here like this, I start sneezing. From time to time, clear your sander. I found the best way of doing it is on your leg, which my girlfriend goes mental at, because I end up with dust all over my trousers. As you can see, fluff flying off as well. So yeah, we use a plastic mix glue for any of the seams, and then when we've got larger gaps, we'll put in some Vallejo Putty with its very, very fine applicator, and then we will wipe that out with a wet cotton bud or Q-tip, and then refill as necessary. Now, if you find you're getting a bit slowed down, move to a slightly coarser sander. This is where our sanders are ideal, because the shape of them, the way you hold them, they work in an arc. So you naturally hold them in the right position because of the shape we've done them in. Now you are going to lose some detail, it's inevitable, and that's where adding it back in once you're done is ideal. So again, have a look for the step. Once you've got rid of the step and you're just left with a gap, come back in with a finer sander. I'm sorry for the sniffing, sounds atrocious. Get nice and smooth. We'll come with a polisher just for the sake of it so we can see what we've got. And I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Now this once it's polished will really let us see what we've got. So, not too bad, just a little bit of a gap in the middle. It's sealed perfectly. If I can come to the close one, I can go to catch, there you go. So there's the seam line we've got. So you can see we lost a little bit of the surface detail, but we can put that back in, we can rescribe it later. And this is just going to need a few dots of filler to sort it out. So what I'll do, I'll go around the rest of the aircraft, which is this part and these two here, so 5-10 minutes work, get them all flush, and then we'll come back and fill them in. Okay, so there we go, we're 10-15 minutes sanding it all off. We have actually rather nice seams, to the point where some of it isn't going to need any filler at all. Those front parts there, I don't think are going to need anything at all. They are perfectly smooth. This seam here and the one on the opposite side, There is no step, there's no indentation, there is nothing. Absolutely perfect seam. Along the sides, probably 80% of it is a good seam. We've got a few little parts we can get it to catch. There's one just there at the front, and there's one just here as well. A few little parts there. Obviously we're starting to fill these at the back, which will take literally seconds to do. This side is a bit more of a prominent one down the middle. It's not a gap. Sorry, it's not an overlapping gap. It's a little recess where the glue hasn't quite taken, but that's fine. I'd rather have a gap than a single hole, because you'll find the gap will allow any filler or anything else to grip and really bite in, because obviously it's a gap, so it recesses in. And again, the front seems absolutely perfect yet again. Now the only true way to test it is, once you're happy with everything's filled, is to come back and spray some black paint on there. That will immediately show it if there's a gap there at all. So that's the only way to really tell. So what I'm going to do, for the sake, because I'm going to do both these rear parts, I'm going to chuck a little bit on the front as well. And what I've got, it's an age-old trick. I think I talked about this in the last news show if you saw my update. It's an old trick of using liquid glue. Obviously when Tamiya Extra Thin gets to a certain point, it's usually just below this red line. It starts getting harder to get out because the brush doesn't go right down to the bottom. No idea why, but it doesn't. You also start getting cloudy glue, and it doesn't work as well because it's been open, it's been evaporating, and it gets less powerful to use. So like I do, especially now it's easily available, I just put them in the drawer, open a fresh one, away you go. Once you've got a couple of those, chuck all the glue into one bottle, so you should be filled to about 3/4 of the way. Get some old sprues that you've cut all the parts off, chop into tiny little bits and chuck it in. And what you want to get is a liquidy molten plastic glue. Now this often sticks shut, there we go. It's a little bit thinner than I would like at the minute, but if you look in there, you've got a molten plastic goo. Now if you allow that to dry, it turns into rock hard plastic once the glue evaporates, and is an excellent filler. The downside to it is it's glue again, so it does melt into the plastic again, and because it's molten plastic, it can take up to 2-3 days to dry. The plus point massively is that you don't get any shrinkage. Once it's dry, it's rock hard, you can sand it back, and because it's plastic, it looks perfect once it's on there as well. So it's a very handy tool to use, and I'll show it quickly in use on here. So literally along your seam line, just dab it on. Because it's thick, it does sit on top. Now I used to use Vallejo Putty, perfect plastic putty. Then I've tried the Tamiya putty. I've tried Mr. Surfacer for doing this. The Mr. Surfacer Black is good because it shows any indentations in there. And we may try it on this. I'll show that in use actually so you can see it. But I've often found with those putties, it looks great. After a couple of days it dries, you sand it, it looks great, and you come back a week later and it's shrunk. And it can ruin your hard work. A little bit too much there, but it doesn't matter at all. Like I say, it dries as hard plastic. It's no problem whatsoever. Obviously, the less you put down, the less you've got to clean up at the end. Now obviously, if you do one side and flip it over, God's sake, don't stick your finger in that, because you'll be left with a hell of a mess. And again, keep it away from any recesses, anywhere you don't want it, because it is an absolute nightmare to get out of a recess. It's just a case of going all along, using a similar way that you used the TET itself, the Tamiya Extra Thin. So put it in, wipe off the excess. So you're going along that entire seam. You're happy. Like I said, the front didn't need it, but because it takes a few days to dry, I'd rather spend 5 minutes sanding it back than do all the back spray and there's a slight gap on there. So I'd rather just spend that time doing that. I'm going to do this side without touching anything, because the worst thing you can do is touch it and then drag it across everywhere. And once you get used to using it, you become a lot quicker with it, and you learn to dab and drag. Helps if I get it in the seam line. I'm looking at the monitor, not the aircraft. So we've got a bit too much on the back there, but like I say, it's molten plastic, so it's not going to do anything detrimental. The other thing, it does sting to high heaven. The smell is just like Tamiya Extra Thin. So again, well ventilated. Don't be sniffing on it because you end up sniffling like me. Some the other day, Ian said that he tried it with Mr. Hobby, Mr. Cement, and it didn't work as well. So whether that's down to what's actually in Tamiya Extra Thin, I don't know. Focus, come on. But I put it in the wrong place again, idiot. If anybody does try it and it does work with the Mr. Cement, please let me know. Please leave it in the comments. As you can see, where there isn't any real problem, you can literally just drag it across. Once you're done, have a quick look. Make sure everywhere you need it has it, and if there's any areas where you know there's a fairly deep gap, I'd add a little bit more on top that when it sinks down, because when it evaporates it reduces in size. It's not going to be a problem. So there we go. So I need to leave this. It's Thursday today. I will probably leave that until at least maybe Monday over the weekend, just so I know it's totally dry. Because what happens is you'll sand it all down, get it nice and flush, and you'll put a fingernail mark in it, and it just ruins it. So just leave it for now, at the time being. Don't touch it. Let it be. Now to attend to those other ones, what I'm going to do is going to very quickly show how I get rid of these. So using the Vallejo Putty, because it's got the very fine applicator tip. Look for your gap. God's sake, be careful of anything you don't want to touch. Use the nozzle to squeeze the glue in. So it's pushed home, get a cotton bud, wet it. You may find it'll take a couple of goes. Get it in there, let that dry, and if it needs it, add a tab more when you're done. So there you go. I'm going to do the other side, a couple of little areas that need a tiny little bit of filler. This is going to be put completely to one side and left to dry over the weekend. Okay, so we're on to our next step. We're going to concentrate on the reverse thrusters and the engine exhaust as well. So the parts we got are these here. I've got them out on the bench ready to go, and we've got the aftermarket photo etch and the photo etch instructions are just above me there. So we're going to go with the normal ground position, which is this one here. So all these parts are the same bar these three here. So you've got fully open for in flight, fully closed for full reverse thrusters, and the normal in position flight when it's on the ground. So two of these are fully extended out, and the top one is resting halfway down. I've got a reference picture there. If I can, I will put it in the shot here with me, and we'll see. You can see what it actually looks like then. As I say, very good pictures. I was supplied by Ebby, so thanks very much again. So what we need to do, obviously these are the kit instructions, so we're following this part here. So we've got all these parts out on the bench ready to go. We've then got the photo etch parts, which are here. We'll be following these steps. We may have that one, and then these, assembling the exhaust fans in the middle. They show you the correct orientation of everything and how it should sit as well, so quite clear. So step one is telling us, and I'm a bit confused by one or the other, I'm not sure why we've got two, to remove the edge. Now I can see removing the edge on the one that's dropped down. I can see the benefit now because it'll sit flush then, because if we cut it like it's supposed to go now, that's where they sit when they're fully open. If we want to have it bend down, you can see there's a bit of a gap. Now whether that's normal I don't know, but it's telling us to remove those very edges, so I'm assuming then it'll sit back a little bit more. Whether that's correct or not, I do not know. I'm going to follow the instructions, just because I've got the instructions there and I'm going to follow them. But what we'll do for now is we will cut one of these parts off, and I'll show you the way they're going to be attached. So each one of these has an inner part, which is these. So they go on the inside of each one, and then on the exterior we have one of these, which is shown just there. Going simply because two at the side, one's at the top, drop down. You can only see the top of one. So that's why it's like that. So what we'll do, we'll assemble one, I'll do the rest off camera, and then we'll come back and see what it looks like. So first of all, it's telling us to remove the very edge of that thruster. So we will do that, and I'm going to use, if I can get it without knocking everything off, it's a medium, I want the fine. So I've got an accurate armour, fine razor saw. Now this fits on the Swan Morton, I think it's a number 3, yeah, number 3 handle. They're very fine, as you can see, they do bend easily because they are photo etch, but they are excellent for cutting plastic parts. So I'm just going to have a look until I see roughly what it wants. So it's just taken out that far edge. Quite why, I do not know, but I'm assuming it's so it fits in when it's in the down position. So I'm just going to guess there's no approximate, there's no marks or nothing there. So what I may use is the line just there. We'll take that part out across and fully out that corner. Whether it's correct or not, I do not know. Actually, I'm going to assume there are a piece there, we'll cover that. So that goes there. I honestly cannot see the reason for removing that, but okay, we'll follow the instructions. So using a razor saw, just take your time. It's better to stop and double check rather than remove too much material. So I think what we'll do, we will go for just that short part for now. So nice square. Oh, so you've got a visor, so I think it is better. I have to excuse the state of my fingers and nails as well. I've been building a diorama and covered in oil paint. Because obviously I don't just have this project on the go, I have others. And it's my Tiger 1 dio, which I'm currently building. So there's one side. So basically we'll tidy that up then with this UMP sanding stick. And there we go, that's as neat as we're getting. So there we go, there's both those cut out. Approximately correct, but we're going to cover them in PE, so it won't be all that difficult. Anyway, now we need to cut off this PE. You saw me doing this last time, so it's exactly the same procedure. So we just need 2 parts, well 3 parts technically. So we'll whip off one of these. We'll use the scissors, because we don't need to use that because it's a nice wide fret, so we should be able to get the scissors in no problem. I'll show one done. Like I say, you don't need to see them all. I'll have a little looky, see what it looks like when it's all assembled. Okay, I'm going to cut them off because that's damaging that edge. So there's that one off, and then we need this one too. There's another small part, but we'll cut that off when we need it, because otherwise we're going to end up losing it. Should be nearly off. One more there. And one more there, which we can pull, no problem at all. Clean up the edges very quickly. There's that part done. Now we're going to have to bend these parts. I do have a photo etch bending machine. Just going to fix that part I bent, being an idiot. Don't try and be quick like I did. Cut them properly. Yeah, I do have a full bending machine there, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to show you a quick, simple way. When you're doing loads of PE, it's worth getting the machine out. We're just doing a couple of pieces. It's not much worth whipping them out just for that. So there we go, there's the 2 parts we need. That part and that part. It's not telling us to remove any more detail off the the plastic part, so that's good. We need the one we cut, which is this one, like so. So easiest way to roll PE, look at which way it needs to be rolled. That is going to fit supposedly inside there. Looks a bit off to me, but we'll soon see. So we need to fold it this way. So best way I find of doing it is get a UMP sander or some soft sponge, etc. Make sure you're folding it the right way, and then just gently roll it until you get the curve. You need to stop and check each time. Need a little bit more. Obviously, because the sander is soft, the rolling action works rather well. As I said, that's it, perfect. Have a little looky, see what we've got. It is very slightly oversized. For what reason I do not know, but it is. So that needs super gluing in place, so there's one done. And then the other one will go the other way, so we need the rear of it there. And again, just gently roll over it so you get the shape you require, which is like that, and that sits right up there, like so. Again, that was just slightly oversized. Whether it's going to be a problem, I do not know. But those two parts will sit there and underneath. So to glue them in position, we need a little bit of super glue. A bit of a plastic bag. Or something we can use to pop it on. A bit of masking tape will do. Just chuck it down, put a little dab on, and we can start sticking these parts down, and I can get on with the rest. And we'll show the actual fans themselves. So a little bit of masking tape over there, doesn't that look pretty? A couple of dobs of super glue, put the lid back on. Again, Bob Smith's comes in different stickers on it, different names, but you get the purple Insecure. That's my favourite one for P. Now we do have my Photoetch applicator, which is absolutely full of super glue. If I find a lighter, we'll burn it off, but I don't think I can quickly. So we'll leave it be and use as is. We're not trying to apply it specifically anywhere perfectly. Now, there's no indication of where that goes, so I'm assuming it just goes flush with the top. And that's what we're going to do. Because we're sticking a big piece on, don't be stingy with the super glue. Chuck it on. Try and go up to the edges, because that's where it's going to come away. And obviously, don't get stuck to it by any means. Right, so there's the glue. There's the PE. We pop it in place. We've got a little bit of time to adjust. Like so, and then we'll clamp it in. What I'll use, if I can find one, is a closed peg, just to give it a bit of a clamp rather than me sitting here holding it. And we'll move on to the next one. In fact, it's not even worth it. I should just clamp it with my fingers. I'll risk getting stuck to it for you guys. For speed, it kind of lines up to where it was. It's certainly oversized, I'll give it that. I have no idea why. At all, because it should fit flush, I'd have thought. Reference picture. It does overhang a little bit, but nothing too drastic. So that is about it really. So, well, we'll leave it as is. Still can't stand the point in cutting that back part off, but that's by the by. Bit weird, if anybody knows, let me know. And then we'll come back and put this second piece on. So this goes right to the top. Always refer back to these instructions to ensure you're putting these bits in the right place, because once you put them on, get them off, destroys the PE basically. Don't be stingy, don't put too much on, you don't want to square it everywhere when you put the bleed. do PE part on, but in the same respect you don't want it falling off at the drop of a hat. Now be careful of this part because it's got holes in, you're going to get glue coming out of it, so you're probably better laying it down, using an instrument to push where the holes aren't, like so. You are going to get stuck to it. Now, if you do get stuck to it, or you get any excess super glue, and I'll see if I can get a piece on purpose. There we go, it's stuck to my finger, so there we go, there's some on the model. Right. So, there you can see, right in the middle, there you go, there and there's some excess super glue. Get yourself some acetone. If you go to a chemist's or anywhere you can buy it, you can buy pure acetone in a bottle. It's about a couple of quid to buy. It's in a much larger bottle than this. And acetone removes super glue. So where you got any excess, come in with your cotton bud. Give it a good rub over. It does take a while to activate it as such and take it off, but it does take it off. There we go, it's gone and it's off. Underneath looks okay, those edges are there, so if we get the part it's supposed to stick on, which is this, like that, that then sits in situ, like so. So, okay, I am rather confused as to how that overhangs. I can't see, actually yes I can, tell a lie, I can't see that on there now. Okay, those edges are bending down ever so slightly. So we need to conform those edges. There we go, like that, so they curve, and I can see that now on the actual kit itself. So again, refer back to your original instructions. It tells you the orientation of this, which is right there, and it's going to be sat at, look at my pictures again. It's a fairly good steep angle. It's going to be about there. So I'm going to fold that edge down, pop that in there, and hopefully that will give it a little bit more purchase when I glue it in a second. There we go, that's better. So I would say, looking at it, it needs to go around about, if I get it to stay on, so there's not much of a contact area at the top to glue it, so gluing it is going to be a challenge. I'm not going to super glue because it'll be very, very brittle. Looking at the pictures, I would say it goes about that angle. I know my thumb's in the way, and if I move it I'm probably going to drop it. Probably about there, and the other two go straight across at the edge. I've got a little bit of excess photo etch there, which you could have done with moving over a tad. So that's by the by. You're not really going to notice it once it's all painted up. You're not going to see it, but there's that part, and that glue's in position now. The other two just have the inner part because that's all you can see when they're in their position on the edge, which is there, like so. So that's hard up against the edge, and all you can see is the inside, so that's why they've got those parts. So I'll cut those off, we'll glue them in position, I'll cut the other parts off ready for the engine, and we'll start getting those in place as well. Right, okay, so there we go, there's all the reverse thrusters in, they're in position as you can see, back plates on. I did have that clamped but it hasn't come through, but it's all in there as you can see through the back. There's all three pieces, so no problems there at all. So they went in fairly trouble free. Made a little bit of fill around the back there because just with the glue set I haven't clamped it. I did actually clamp it, but unclamp them to have a look, as you do. So that's that. Now we've got the actual fans themselves. Now I've cut out the parts. So there's one part I've cut out and bent. There's the second part, which is, oh come on, the third part is there, and the fourth part is here. What the instructions, sorry it's there, you can't quite see it, there it is, small one. What the instructions then ask for is a small plastic part there, which is hidden at the bottom there, which will be covered by these unfortunately, to be stuck in position. I'll have to make that off camera, and stick that on, because I haven't got it now and I haven't got it ready, and we're literally, I must be at 40 minutes of video, so we're at the end of what I can physically send to Lee. Unfortunately, I can send about 4.5 gig, which takes about 6 hours to send to Lee. So try and get the videos for 45 minutes. So these fit in, as you can see on those instructions there. The big fan part goes to the back, then that part, that part, that part. They sit on top of each other, fairly simple, quite easy. So I'll just drop this in just so you can see it fit, and I'm going to glue it all, and we'll show it next time we come back, because we are literally running out of time. The beauty of this is I've got this bit filmed today quite quickly, in a couple of hours, so it's quite nice. There you go, there's that in position. Then this one sits on top, so on and so forth. If I can pick it up without dropping it 12 times. That sits in the middle in there. Then this larger one sits on top with these legs folded over, and that one on top as well. The beauty of getting this done quick today is I can do another part quicker as well, so we should have part 3 out fairly quick as well. So that'll be quite nice. So, like I say, run out of time unfortunately. We've got a bit done. We've got the engines assembled, the reverse thrusters done, we've got the side of the fuselage filled, sanded, ready for next time. So again, all these parts, when we come back in part 3, I'll have all these ready. We'll have a look and we'll start getting some of the other bits assembled. So there you go. Sorry if it's been a bit random today. We haven't really got that much done, but some quite important bits. There's a lot of photo etch to go on these exterior parts in part 3 most probably. And that's going to take quite a bit of time. I was looking at the instructions last time thinking, oh my god, what have I done? But they're all there ready to go. So I'm going to assemble this now off camera. And like I say, we'll come back next time. The beauty of this is, because they're in 2 parts, we can paint them, put them in the aircraft, and we can just put either a piece of sponge or tissue in there, so we can get it all painted up, ready to go, and we're not going to lose all that when we come to spray it later on. So that's great. So there you go. So thanks for watching today, guys. I'll be back hopefully very soon with part 3. Certainly in the next 2 weeks, and hopefully within the next 10 days we'll come back with part 1 of the the technique guide of the CRAS on the armour, and we'll get going. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later, and I'll see you around.